In Birds of Prey, Harley Quinn has broken up with the Joker. And because she broke up with the Joker, who's a very scary crime lord, she no longer is under his protection. So, once everyone finds out that she's not under the Joker's protection, a lot of these people want to kill her because they didn't like her. And the other reason they never tried to hurt her before is because they knew if they did, the Joker would come after them. But since she ain't with the Joker anymore, it's, all these people want to kill her. At the top of the list is Black Mask, played by Ewan McGregor. And there are some other women, like Black Canary and the Huntress, who have their own reasons for, and Cassandra Cain and Renee Montoya, their own reasons for being at odds with Black Mask. And somewhere, because of a sequence of events, they all wind up having to band together, at least by the end of the movie, to fight Black Mask together. And that's the basic setup of Birds of Prey. If I tell you how all the characters, why each one doesn't like Black Mask and what happens, that'll go into spoilers. But what I've explained to you is the basic setup of Birds of Prey. So, what did I think of it? Well, for one thing, Birds of Prey is basically squarely a Harley Quinn movie. She's the main character. Margot Robbie's performance is great, and she narrates the movies basically from her perspective. Basically, Harley Quinn does a lot of voiceover narration. There's a lot of things that are told, sequences, like things told out of sequence based on how she remembers them. It's definitely a Harley Quinn showcase. The other characters have things to do, but everybody else is mainly a supporting character. Some of them are awesome supporting characters, but it's really much Harley Quinn's story. And it's very similar. It's surprisingly faithful and similar and references Suicide Squad. I was thinking that this movie was going to pretend Suicide Squad didn't happen or be completely divorced from Suicide Squad, but that's not the case. There's actual references to things that happen in Suicide Squad. David Ayer's Suicide Squad. Harley Quinn actually says she's talking to some character. I can't remember if it's Renee Montoya or Cassandra Cain, but she mentions, her time in the Suicide Squad. It's like this brief line or whatever. And there's a scene when Harley Quinn is in a police station. There's like a direct reference to Captain Boomerang, played by Jai Courtney from Suicide Squad. And I love that because I like a lot of these DC movies being connected to each other and taking place in the same universe. So that was a pleasant surprise. And that was one thing that really, I thought was neat in the movie. Because I thought this movie was going to pretend Suicide Squad didn't happen. But this movie didn't do that. And so that was a pleasant surprise. That it referenced Suicide Squad continuity. And like I mentioned before, Black Canary and Huntress and Montoya and Black Mask and Zaz, they're all great in their performances. And the movie definitely has action. But watching it, before I saw Birds of Prey, I saw all these reviews talking about how great the movie was and, fresh tomatoes and stuff. And watching it, while I enjoyed it, I wasn't as blown away by the movie as I thought I would be. I thought it was a solid movie, but I didn't think it was a great one. So while I enjoyed it, I'd say Birds of Prey is decent. It's a good, decent action movie, but it's not quite as awesomely entertaining as a lot of people would have you believe. I thought sometimes the tone of the movie was kind of all over the place. Like sometimes it was very silly and funny, and then there'd be dramatic moments, but they didn't seem to always mesh well. I think they were supposed to, but it felt sometimes disjointed in the tonality of the movie. Like what kind of experience you're supposed to have watching this movie? Are you supposed to think it's funny? Or is it supposed to be like Tarantino, a comedy? Or is it supposed to be like Tarantino? Or is it supposed to be a straight up serious action movie? It was kind of all over the place. Still enjoyable, but I felt sometimes they were struggling to figure out what kind of movie this was supposed to be. It's definitely very colorful and stylish and inventive in terms of tone. There's definitely, a flavor to it, thanks to Kathy Yon. But that flavor, sometimes the flavor's, really, really potent and tangy. Other times it's spicy. Other times it's sour. Other times it's salty. It's like, I didn't really know exactly what I was supposed to be feeling watching Birds of Prey sometimes. So that kind of took me out of the story or made it seem like things weren't really coming together that well. And I'm someone who likes these movies. I'm a DC fan because I read DC comics, and I wanted to see more the spirit of a lot of these characters is there, but this movie takes a lot of liberties with the source material. And so the fact that the birds of prey like Black Canary and Huntress and Cassandra Cain were so different than I've seen them in the comics, that might have been something else that kept me from enjoying this movie as much as I would have. If I wasn't a comic book fan, maybe I would have. I liked Birds of Prey, but maybe I would have liked it even more if I hadn't read the comics and was coming into this fresh and hadn't heard of any of these people before. I liked by the end of the movie. That's when all these like female characters came together as a coherent team. That's when it started to feel like the Birds of Prey to me. That's when things seemed to click. But I wish I could have seen more of that earlier in the movie. I thought Huntress and Black Canary, Journey Smollett Bell was great as a Black Canary. Mary Elizabeth Winstead was great as the Huntress. But I would have liked, they were good supporting characters, but I would have liked to see them as more equals to Harley Quinn and not, sidekicks. Like if you read a Birds of Prey comic, pick up any of the classic ones. Black Canary and the Huntress are main characters. They're not supporting characters really to anybody else. They're vitally important to most Birds of Prey storylines. And in this movie, while cool and while they had stuff to do, they really took a back seat to Harley Quinn. Cassandra Cain had a lot to do, but she was very different. The Cassandra Cain in this movie is not nowhere close to her comic book counterpart. She's not like this awesome, like, teenage assassin. She's a sneaky pickpocket, which is cool. I mean, the Cassandra Cain of the comics is stealthy and stuff, so I guess it's believable that Cassandra Cain in the comics could be a pickpocket if she wanted to. The one in this movie is a pickpocket, but that's about it. Her personality, she doesn't really seem to have any fighting skills in the movie, which is very different. Cassandra Cain in the comics has awesome fighting skills. So those were some of the things I didn't like. Or that I thought could have been more. I also thought that the movie is supposed to have this LGBT representation, or so they said, but it doesn't seem to have any of that. Like Black Mask and Zaz were, rumored or whatever, purported to have an attraction to each other or to be bi or gay. In the movie, you would never know that. They didn't seem to have any kind of attraction to each other or to other men that I saw. So I don't know if that was just a rumor that they were supposed to be like that, or maybe the studio had planned, but they chickened out at the last minute and decided that they weren't going to do that because they were afraid of any kind of backlash from more conservative viewers. But this movie doesn't really seem to have much, unless I was missing something, LGBT representation at all. Like, I don't think you would assume, I think, that Zaz and Black Mask were straight dudes. I think unless someone had told you before you saw the movie that they weren't supposed to be. And also, Black Mask himself, Ewan McGregor does a great job playing Black Mask, but this character doesn't seem much like the Black Mask from the comics. The way he acts and behaves, he seems like someone else who's just calling himself Black Mask. I can't give anything away because that would give away spoilers, but the Black Mask and in the movie and the way Ewan McGregor plays him is a good job, but he doesn't seem like the one in the comics. And that's, I think, all I can say without giving away stuff. And overall, the movie felt very small scale. The stakes didn't really seem that high. It's not like it takes place in Gotham City, but it never felt like the Birds and Harley, like they were fighting for the soul of Gotham or even a plot to take over the world. It was the equivalent of a street fight or a brawl in this certain area of Gotham City. That's not exactly what happens in the movie, but it just felt like the stakes weren't that high. And so this movie does seem more like a mid-level or small-level comic book movie, which is fitting because it's a smaller budgeted movie. They weren't trying to tell this sweeping James Bond type movie scale. So, it's not like they were doing anything that they weren't truthful in advertising, right? They never said this movie was going to be this big, Christopher Nolan kind of crime epic or crime drama, which this movie is not. It is very much a small scale, mid-level movie where the stakes aren't that high. And it's kind of it's a very small scale conflict is what I'll say. I can't say what kind of conflict it is without giving stuff away, But it doesn't seem like Shazam or Wonder Woman or Man of Steel, where there's a lot in the balance, or where there's this sweeping epic backdrop. It's very much contained and feels like, it's not like this huge thing. But I recommend Birds of Prey. I just want to manage expectations. Birds of Prey is good for the kind of movie it is, right? I didn't know what to expect exactly, but now that I see the movie, I can see that it's a good, like, mid-level, small-scale action movie, with cool characters and great performances. All the acting's good. The action scenes are good, but it's really different. I feel a departure from the comic book source material, at least with Huntress and Black Canary, Cassandra Cain, and Black Mask. So, if you're a comic book purist, that might be a problem for you. But if you can put that aside and appreciate this movie for what it is, I'd say it's solid and decent, and I do recommend seeing it. But I was expecting to be completely blown away based on some of the early reviews, and I wasn't. I would say, I give the movie a thumbs up, I guess, but not an enthusiastic thumbs up like I was expecting. So, check out Birds of Prey and see for yourself. Thank you for watching. If you like this video, please like it on YouTube and subscribe to the channel because I appreciate your viewership, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.